Hi everyone, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and this past weekend I was able to attend a sneak peek of the new Dungeons and Dragons movies, Honor Among Thieves. Let's roll it. So there's a lot that I enjoyed about this film. And the biggest thing that really came out to me was that it felt like a play session. If you have played any role playing game, this movie felt like that. There were moments throughout the film where I'm just thinking to myself, yep, that's happened. Yep, players have done that. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. And all these hijinks and bad decisions and ramifications from the bad decisions, they all came out. And that was really, really fun. You could see how the people who designed the movie have been around the table and they structured the game that way. There's even things like temporary PCs who show up for a session or two, and then when that's over, they just go on their merry way because their schedules have changed and they'll come back in a few months or so. And that's in the movie too. It's really, really fun. Now, for me as a fan of role-playing games and have been playing D&D for a very long time, uh, it was easy for me to pick up on this. I am rather interested to see whether or not the general populace is going to pick up on the goofiness of it and like it, because that's kind of the table idea. As much as we want it to be gritty and dark and serious and high drama, it's the goofiness that we bring to the table that we all remember. It's those silly moments that really stick in our thoughts and in our memories. And I'm interested to see if the general public really embraces that. It could be because the best analogy that I've had for this movie while I was watching it, and also I've seen other people who reviewed it now bring it up, what D&D Honor Among Thieves is to Lord of the Rings. It's the same feel that you get when comparing Guardians of the Galaxy to Star Wars. The same DNA is there. You see the concepts that are going through the storyline. But D&D, as with Guardians of the Galaxy, is not concentrated on the drama so much as it is concentrated on the fun. Because this is, after all, a movie about a game, which is about having fun. There were also D&D lore drops and rule drops dropped liberally throughout the movie. You didn't need to know the Dungeons and Dragons rules or lores to enjoy the film, but because you saw those different things being pinged every now and again, you're just like, yeah, that was great. And for folks who are fans of the 1980s cartoon, there's even a cameo of that party in one of the scenes. That's not a spoiler because it's in one of the trailers. And that was really fun. It doesn't have any great impact on the film, but it's just nice to see them there. You're like, hey, I know those guys. That was really cool. Now, there was one thing I didn't like about the film, and I really mean that. There was just one thing I did not like about the film, and that was the structure of the first act. It just felt like there was too much show while telling inside the story. And it was a story being recounted for you. I'm not going to give any of the details away, but I think it would have worked a lot better had they just showed the story in a same amount of time montage that you took to do this cut back and forth between the telling and the showing. And I think it would have flowed a lot better. There was a payoff for the way that the first act is structured much later on in the film, but while it got a little bit of a chuckle from me, it was just too long in coming. There was no real reason to do that. I would have liked much more had we jumped right into the actual characters and not had this story being recounted, just being told to us on screen. It's one small takeaway that I had that I did not care about the film, along with a whole bunch of things that I really did enjoy about the film. So, what's my recommendation? Well, when this film is released on March 31st, if you crave a theater experience, just go see it. This is going to be a really enjoyable time. It comes in at over 2 hours. I think it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something. So, it's a great way to spend an evening or an afternoon and have some fun with a really enjoyable film. It doesn't break any huge new ground, but it's a faithful depiction of what goes on at the table when we're playing these bizarre and awesome games. And that's really, really cool. So if you crave the theater experience, go see it in the theater. I had a really fortunate experience because I was going to a sneak preview that everybody was there for the film. I didn't have phones or conversations or people going out and getting food left and right. Everybody just wanted to watch the movie because that's why they were there. And so that was enjoyable for me. If you don't want to deal with a lot that goes on in the theater nowadays and you can deal with not having the immense sound, you can wait for streaming. It'll be out for a little bit. But go see the film if you're inclined to go see it. It's really, really good. Now, coming up, I've got a couple of things. First is my review of Basic Fantasy RPG 4th edition is just about done. They just released the 114 version, which is the first preview. This could be the print version that is released. And so I'm going through some of the changes between the edition that I was looking at and this new one. And once that's done, I'll film my review of the 4th edition for Basic Fantasy RPG. But also, I did attempt to run a live stream. We did successfully do it, but we had to cancel a little bit early because my system started melting. But I want to go over my experiences of running Shadow Dark and show you some of the highlight clips of that live play session that shows Shadow Dark in action. This is a fantastic game. It is currently on Kickstarter. I'm going to put the link to it below. If you are inclined for this bridge between new school and old school play, and want just an absolutely wonderful experience, go back Shadow Dark before its Kickstarter time is up. You will not regret it. So until I see you all again, folks, happy playing, everyone.